I didn't believe in coincidences after that night. Before then, I thought some things just happened by chance. Wrong place, wrong time. You move on. But Valentine's Day taught me that sometimes nothing is random at all. I was single that year, and I'd already decided I wasn't doing anything special. No dates, no apps, no forced romance. So when my coworker asked if I wanted to grab dinner after work on Valentine's Day, I almost said no. She said it wouldn't be a date, just food, a public restaurant, something normal. I agreed. The restaurant was busy when we arrived. Loud, bright, couples everywhere. Exactly the kind of place that made me feel safe. While we were waiting for a table, a man at the bar turned and looked at me. Just a glance. Nothing strange about it. I forgot about him almost immediately. Dinner was fine. We talked about work, complained about customers, laughed about how awkward Valentine's Day always felt when you were single. Halfway through the meal, I noticed the same man from the bar walking past our table. He smiled at me. I smiled back without thinking. That was my second mistake. When we finished eating, my coworker paid her half and said she was heading out. Early morning shift the next day. I stayed behind to finish my drink. That's when the man sat down across from me. He didn't ask. He just said, "Funny running into you here." I told him I didn't think we'd met. He smiled and said, "Not yet." I should have left, but he didn't act creepy. He didn't flirt aggressively. He didn't touch me. He talked like we already had something in common. Same city, same commute, same coffee place near my apartment. That last part made my stomach tighten. I asked him how he knew where I lived. He laughed softly and said, "You mentioned it online once." I didn't remember doing that. I finished my drink quickly and told him I was heading out. He stood up at the same time, said he was parked nearby. We walked toward the exit together. Outside, he stopped and said, "This was always how it was supposed to happen." That sentence didn't make sense, so I asked him what he meant. He told me he'd seen me before, weeks earlier, at the grocery store, at a gas station, standing outside my building. He said Valentine's Day felt like the right time to finally talk to me. I felt cold all over. I stepped back and told him he was making me uncomfortable. His smile faded. Not angry, disappointed. He said, "I didn't plan for you to react like this." I went back inside the restaurant and asked the host to call security. By the time they came, the man was gone. No name, no receipt, no record he'd even been there. I didn't sleep that night. The next morning, there was a note taped to my apartment door. No envelope, no handwriting I recognized. Just one sentence: "We'll try again another time." I moved a month later, changed my routine, stopped smiling at strangers. And every Valentine's Day since, I think about that restaurant, about how safe it felt, and how easily safety can be staged when someone's been planning longer than you realize. I almost threw the gift away without opening it. It was Valentine's Day, and I wasn't seeing anyone seriously. No partner, no ex I was in contact with. So when a small box showed up at my door that morning, I assumed it was either a wrong delivery or some kind of promotional thing. It didn't have a name on it, just my address. The box was light, no card, no note. Inside was a bracelet, simple, silver, nothing expensive or flashy. The kind of thing someone could give you without thinking too hard about it. At first, I thought maybe a friend had sent it anonymously, or a coworker trying to be funny. I put it on without much thought. That was my mistake. Later that afternoon, I got a text from an unknown number. It said, "Looks good on you." I stared at my phone for a long time before replying. I asked who it was. No response. I took the bracelet off and set it on the counter. A few minutes later, Another message came in. Why did you take it off? My stomach dropped. I hadn't told anyone I'd received a gift. I hadn't sent a photo. I hadn't mentioned the bracelet to anyone. I didn't reply. Instead, I locked my door and checked my windows. I told myself it was coincidence. Someone guessing. Someone messing with me. Then my phone buzzed again. You're at home now. That's when I noticed the bracelet. There was a small notch on the inside I hadn't seen before. I flipped it over and pressed on it. A tiny green light blinked once, then disappeared. I called the police. They told me not to touch it again and sent someone over. When the officer arrived, he didn't look surprised. He told me they'd seen this before. Cheap tracking devices hidden inside jewelry. Easy to order, easy to hide. Almost impossible to notice unless you knew what to look for. They asked me if I had any idea who might have sent it. I told them no. That wasn't entirely true. There was one person I thought of. Someone I'd gone on one date with months earlier. A short dinner. Nothing physical. No second date. I told him I wasn't interested. He'd taken it well. At least I thought he had. The police took the bracelet with them. They told me to stay somewhere else for a few days. I packed a bag and left that night. 2 days later, the officer called me back. They'd traced the tracker. It hadn't been activated that morning. It had been active for weeks. They asked me if I'd ever seen the bracelet before Valentine's Day. I said no, but then I remembered something. A day in January, when I found a small velvet pouch in my coat pocket. I assumed it belonged to a friend, or that it had fallen in at a store. I never opened it. I just put it back in the pocket and forgotten about it. The bracelet had been with me longer than I realized. Someone had been watching me go to work, watching me come home, watching me stop for groceries, watching me sleep. They arrested him 3 days later, the man from the dinner. When they searched his apartment, they found dozens of small boxes, bracelets, necklaces, keychains, all with trackers inside, all labeled with different names. Valentine's Day wasn't when it started. It was when he wanted to remind me he was still there. I don't wear jewelry anymore, and every time my phone buzzes, part of me still wonders, who knows where I am right now? I didn't realize how quiet my apartment had become until that night. Valentine's Day had been uneventful. No dates, no plans. I ordered takeout, watched something forgettable, and went to bed earlier than usual. It felt normal. That's why it took me so long to notice something was wrong. Around 2 a.m., I woke up suddenly. No noise, no nightmare. Just that feeling you get when you're not alone anymore. I lay there, staring at the ceiling, listening. The apartment was silent, too silent. I told myself it was nothing, just my mind filling in gaps. I'd lived alone for years. I was used to every sound the place made. That's when I noticed the door. The bedroom door was slightly open. I always closed it before sleeping. Always. I didn't move. I listened for breathing. Nothing. I reached for my phone on the nightstand. The screen lit up the room just enough for me to see the hallway. Something blocked the light. Not a shape, not a shadow, just darkness where darkness shouldn't be. I stayed still until the screen went dark again. Then I heard it. A soft sound. Fabric shifting, like someone adjusting their weight. Inside my apartment, I didn't scream. I didn't call out. I pulled the blanket tighter around myself and waited. Minutes passed. Nothing else happened. Eventually, exhaustion won. I fell asleep. In the morning, I convinced myself I'd imagined everything. Until I walked into the kitchen. One of the chairs was pulled out from the table. I never leave it like that. I checked the door. Locked. Windows. Locked. Nothing looked disturbed. No signs of a break-in. That afternoon, I found the note. It was sitting on the counter, folded neatly. No name, no date, just 4 words written carefully. I didn't mean to scare you. I called the police. They searched the apartment, but there was nothing to find. No forced entry, no fingerprints, no sign anyone else had been there. They asked if I'd had anyone over recently. I said no. That wasn't entirely true. A week earlier, I'd gone on a Valentine's date. Just dinner, public place, nice restaurant. He'd walk me home afterward. I didn't invite him in. I watched him leave from the window. Or at least, I thought I did. That night, I stayed with a friend. The next day, I went back to my apartment to grab clothes. The note was gone. I hadn't touched it. That's when I noticed something else. The spare key was missing from the hook by the door. I'd never lost it. The police took it seriously after that. They tracked him down. He admitted he'd stayed inside after I'd gone to sleep. Said he just wanted to feel close. Said Valentine's Day made him lonely. They asked him how long he'd been there. He said, just the night. The officer didn't believe him. Neither did I. I moved out a month later. Different building, different locks, different routine. But sometimes, when I wake up in the middle of the night, I still listen. Because the scariest part isn't knowing someone was there. It's wondering how many nights they stayed before you ever noticed.